And what is up, everyone? I am Joe DeHoyos. I'm host of Beyond the Woodline. Just real quick before we get started, you guys know that I'm into the whole Bigfoot research stuff, and I'm part of the JRG, which is the Jevning Research Group. And we have teams in Oklahoma, Ohio, Michigan, Florida, Maryland, New York State, California. Uh, there's a couple other states I know I'm forgetting. I think I said Michigan, but of course here in Texas where I'm at also. If you guys are interested in joining a team, man, let me know. Hit me up. If we don't have a team in your state and you want to start one, that's fine with us. You just gotta talk to me first, and we'll get you squared away. If you just want to go out with some people and we have a team in your area, you can certainly hook up with them. And even if we don't have a team in your area, we network with a lot of people. We know a lot of different people in different states, so we could probably hook you up with somebody nearby and get you guys started and underway. You don't have to get out into the field if you don't want to or if you can't. Being here in Texas, I never go out in the summertime. I mean, it's very rarely that I go out and actually camp in the summertime. I might go for a hike or do some scouting, but as far as going out there and spending the night, man, I don't do that. It's just too damn hot here, and I hate ticks and I hate snakes. So there we go. And you can always do your research from behind the computer, your laptop, your cell phone, whatever you want to do, and help out. That way, you can give us some areas to check out, find witnesses for us, or just ask about techniques and give us suggestions. So if you're interested in all that stuff, let me know. Hit me up, shoot me an email, beyond.woodline@gmail.com, and let's talk, man. With all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me run at the mouth. I have a special guest tonight, Miss Ashleigh Mendoza. Ashleigh, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. What's the weather like there where you're at?
It's pretty nice out, actually. It's not
It's
too hot and
not too
like
hot.
fall out.
Yeah. How hot did it get there this summer? You guys get in the hundreds?
We got to 120 actually one day,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was bad. Like 100% humidity. Awful.
Jeez. Yeah. That's bad. Yeah. Being here in Texas, we had 100-degree weather for 3 weeks in a row, maybe more. And the humidity down here is just terrible. So it wasn't just so much that it was hot. It felt like you were in an oven with someone spritzing water all over you. It's just
Yeah.
nasty down here. Yeah. But yeah, let's you don't mind tell the people a little bit about yourself and what got you started into this whole crazy paranormal field.
Well, I was out to dinner with a friend, you know, just last year actually, and she had told me she was about to go, check out some haunted locations this year. So I tagged along with her a little bit. Um, and that was the first time I had been to a location. But, I'd had plenty of experiences throughout my lifetime.
Hmm.
So I was always interested in paranormal things. But my first location was Malvern Manor in Iowa.
Okay.
Pretty cool place to go.
What was that?
It's a pretty cool place to go.
Yeah. What is that place? I know I've heard of it, but what exactly is it?
Well, it was a hotel when it was built, and then from that, when it went out of business during a slow economic phase, and then it turned into a like a nursing home,
Hmm.
and so there's been a lot of death there, more than 200 deaths actually recorded that they've found, um, and are recorded, and they have a whole book of obituaries, but it's a really really big building. Obviously, they're gonna have like a nursing home in there, but it's an amazing place.
Okay. And have you only been there just at one time?
I went there for an overnight once, and I went on a day tour also. Kind of hung out with the owner. He's he has his own YouTube channel, and he does investigations there all the time. His name's Josh Bird.
Okay. I think I heard of him. Yeah, I think the name sounds familiar. Um, yeah. So what happened like early on in your life, your previous experiences before actually starting investigating?
Well, when I was young, my dad passed away, and my mom actually told me this. I don't have memories of it, but I would see him all the time, and I would be talking to him. So there was that. And then when I was 20, I went to stay with my mom once, and I had slept in her guest room in this bed that I had, I didn't actually know this, but my uncle had passed away in that bed, and I had no idea. So I slept in this bed, and this old man woke me up, and I woke up, kind of terrified, like what's happening, and and later found out that this was my uncle because I'd never met him before. you know,
Oh wow.
yeah. So that was something.
Hmm.
Um, that was a whole nother level of something.
So how did you find out that that was like your uncle? Did you see a picture of him or?
Yeah, me and my mom talked about it obviously the next morning because
Uh,
you don't just like ignore that. But so she was like, "That was your Uncle Joe's bed, and that's the bed he passed away in." And I was, you know, completely shocked, and I couldn't even walk past that room anymore without like giving it a weird side eye. Like, yeah.
yeah. Did you sleep in that bed again?
No, I haven't.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of a weird thing. Um, yeah, I've slept in a bed where someone had passed away and I knew it, and it's always kind of weird for me. I've done it quite a few times, and um, yeah, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Um, it's I won't share that. I'll share it off the air with you. But yeah, yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling. So you've only been investigating for a year, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what made you take that leap and say, "This is what I'm going to do"?
I've always been into like paranormal stuff and horror stuff, and just the idea of staying in a haunted location was so exciting to me that and I know this is probably ridiculous, but I never put it together that I could actually go do that until she brought it up to me, you know? So
Right.
I was so excited about it. And now that I've done it, I don't think I'll ever stop.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've done it a couple of times, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And so here locally, I do like ghost tours here in Houston, so it's fun
Yeah.
and it's exciting. And I've done a couple of investigations with a group of people, so yeah, if people like it and it's fun, and you can definitely tell the ones who want to do it like do it all the time, and the ones who just like doing it for that night.
Hmm.
So where else have you been besides the Melbourne?
I went to the Villisca Axe Murder House,
Okay.
and we stayed there for the night too. That was awesome. We were setting up our equipment that day, and I went up to the attic. The rest of my group is kind of they're kind of, I don't know, they wouldn't go up to the attic alone. It's just I'm more of an adventure type. I'll do whatever. But I went up there and I'm setting up a camera, looking around. I heard some stuff and I kind of got up to like check it out. And then like right in front of my face, there was like whispering. And I thought, that was really awesome. We weren't even like recording or anything then. It was just when we got there. So that was really
Right.
cool.
Right. What's some of the best evidence that you've caught?
Um, well, we have really solid EVPs from Malvern Manor
Hmm.
because we left an EVP recorder recording the whole night when we were sleeping.
Hmm.
And so we got a lot of EVPs there. Um, just voices. I can't really make out what they're saying, but voices talking and like moaning almost, and almost like cabinet slamming kind of.
Okay.
And then let's see, at Villisca there was cat balls going off like in response to things, so that
Yeah.
was awesome. And there was about like in half an hour where our tracer light was going off. It's just like a motion detector light.
Hmm.
So that was going off, and it was kind of cool because as soon as I stepped into the room and I walked past it, it starts going off after I'm past it, and then I walk out of the room and it completely stopped.
Oh,
like it's trying to
nice.
get my attention, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So where else have you gone? What any other places?
We went to Beattie Mansion. That place was like a um it was a home originally for the Beatties, and then after they both passed away, it was turned into what they call the home of the friendless, which is like where unwed mothers would go to have their children, or just people that didn't have anywhere to go. They would all
Right.
stay there. And then after that, it also got turned into a nursing home.
Hmm.
It was such a big place.
Right. Did anything you get any good activity there?
I didn't catch a lot on camera, but I did hear a lot of breathing and footsteps and things like that. I didn't get any EVPs there either, but we are going back in November, or I am, with a different group in November. So
Okay.
we'll see what we catch then.
Okay. And you're a solo investigator, right?
Yeah, I go with different groups just kind of independently check
Right.
out people and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I do the same thing.
Yeah,
Even in my Bigfoot stuff, even though I belong to the JRG, I still go out and do my own thing, and probably shouldn't be doing that, but I I like going out to the woods by myself.
yeah.
It's just it's fun. Have you ever done any Bigfooting stuff, or have any desire to do that?
I haven't, but
Mhm.
my husband is really into, you know, all that research and stuff, so I wouldn't be opposed to it if he decides to do it in the future.
Right, right. Has he gone with you on any investigations?
Yeah, he went with me to Malvern and Villisca
Okay,
and Farrar. We went to Farrar also.
okay. What's his whole outlook on the paranormal?
He is pretty skeptic, but he also he really likes it when we catch things on video that makes him more like believing of the things that happen, you know.
Right, right, yeah. But that's good, and that's good that he's supportive of you. That for you to do that, that's important. I think even if because I know couples who like one won't believe, but they'll still go anyway. Which is which is really great. And I guess that's what it's all about, doing it and having your partner support you and do it too. And what was the other one you said? The Farrar? What is that one?
Farrar is an elementary school. It's over 100 years old, and they stopped having school there in 2005.
Okay.
And even when it was in operation, like weird things would happen there. Doors would open by themselves. Like all sorts of weird stuff happened there. Nothing ever happened directly that anyone could find, like in history recorded, you know. But a lot of people think that it might have been like a burial ground or something similar may have happened before the school was built there, you know.
Okay.
And that place is definitely haunted. I have no questions. I saw a shadow figure there peeking its head around a corner. That was a life-changing moment.
Hmm. And when you say people around the corner, what was that? What do you mean? I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I want to get your perspective and your experience.
There's a window that kind of looks down into the gym from this hallway,
Hmm.
and it peeked through the window. Like it's there's the gym is on the ground floor, and then this hallway is like in the second floor, and there's a window from that into the gym, and that's where it looked over the window and looked at me, and then went back in to the gym.
Hmm. And what went through your mind when that happened?
Um, well, I get excited about this stuff. Like I went and I looked in the window. Like most people, I think would be like freaked out by it, but I just kind of was like, "What's happening? Let's go check this out." You know, I was so excited about it.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've been like scared, like legit scared?
Not really from anything paranormal. Like there have been a few times that I didn't want to do something in a location just because of other factors. Like in Farrar specifically, there were centipedes like on the walls, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
like this hallway and the cellar, and people go in there and do like the Estes method, you know. I didn't want to be like blindfolded in this little hallway, like because it's all concrete and like there's dust everywhere. I'm like, I don't want to be blindfolded in there and then get like bit by a centipede and like, you know,
Yeah.
like let's not do that. But other than that, I'm not really afraid of things. At Beattie, we had like a bat flying around, and I was still like, let's go check out the upstairs where that bat's flying around. And you
Right.
know, the people I was there with were like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, let's go do it. Come on, let's go check it out.
Yeah. Bats aren't gonna hurt you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they really aren't. Yeah, they try to
Yeah.
get away from you. But, yeah. So the school, it seems like I've heard of this school before, and I don't know if it's the same one, but I've heard that like after it closed, they had like construction or something, and like none of the equipment would work in certain areas. Is this the same school? Do you know about that one?
I haven't heard about that, but people when they were trying to fix it up, I've heard that they would leave because they got freaked out.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've heard that too. And like I said, I don't know if it's the same school, but I heard that the people doing the construction or the remodeling, they didn't want to have anything to do with it after a while. But I heard like in certain areas, like some of their equipment just would just turn off and not work. You know. So I wonder if it's the same school. I'm willing to bet it is. I gotta do some more research on that. Um, and speaking of the whole remodeling thing too, so I was telling you about before we came on the air about the house I used to live in. I had my cousin; they were going to come do some remodeling, and as he was explaining to us what he was going to do, we were all in the kitchen, and he's talking, and he keeps looking down at his arm, and he's like rubbing on his arm, and he looks at my other cousin. He's like, "Man, what are you doing to my arm?" My other cousin's like, "I'm not doing anything." He's like, "Yeah, so you're grabbing my arm." But my other cousin was standing way too far. So my cousin Manuel, he gets in the corner of the kitchen where he can see everyone, and he's talking again. He keeps looking at his arm, and by this time, me and my family, we're all giving each other the old, side eye, and like, okay, something's going on here, right? So Manuel walks across the kitchen and he grabs my arm and he squeezes it really, really tight. He's like, "Dude, this is what it feels like. It feels like someone grabbed my arm." So we just wind up telling him everything about the house, right? So the next morning when he came in and started doing his work, he held his forearm up like that, and he had four fingerprint bruises on his arm, like we're just being grabbed. It's pretty cool. Yeah. But I still don't think it was anything bad. I just don't think the Colemans wanted him to mess with their house.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of spirits don't want anything to change.
Right, right. So do you have any places that you want to visit or that you're going to visit?
There's a lot. I want to check out Edinburgh Manor.
Hmm.
I've heard a lot of good stories about that place. I haven't done a lot of research, but just
Hmm.
really a lot of stories I've heard. Ohio State Reformatory.
Yeah.
I've been there, but only during the day. You know,
Hmm.
I'd like to do like a full overnighter on that. But it's such a huge place. You might need like a couple days.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the things I was actually looking forward to if I had moved to Ohio because I was only going to be like an hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours away from it, really close. I
Mhm.
was like, I was telling my other son, I was like, man, I'd love to be able to go out there and do that, go to that place.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not going to happen, I don't think. But yeah, there's also in Ohio, I believe it's the Monroe Theater. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't.
It's an older theater, and it's supposed to be really really haunted. I was looking forward to going to that too. You should look that one up. I believe it's in Ohio. I want to say, and but everyone that I've talked to that have gone there has nothing but like good things to say. Like it's a friendly place. It's not like if you want to go there and get scared, you're not going to go there and get scared. Even the owner, I talked to the owner too, and he's like, "Yeah, man, it's really a great place." And he's like, "Every day I come in and I talk to the spirits, and uh, everybody here, gets along with them, and they get along with everybody else, and it seems to be like a really good, friendly atmosphere. And even the people there in the town that volunteer to help take care of the theater, have are like really happy to go, and it's one of those really good places. So if you get a chance, look that up. I believe it's in Ohio. You probably have a lot of fun there.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up for sure.
Hmm. So what's the furthest you've gone so far?
Um, I think the farthest one was Beattie Mansion. It was about 5 hour drive from
Oh,
here.
oh, well, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool that you don't have to drive too far to go to some of these places. Like,
Um, Malvern's only 3.5 hours from here.
who's that?
Malvern.
Okay, okay, yeah. And you got some good stuff in your area. How far is the Axe Murder House?
That one's about the same, but a little different direction. About the same.
Okay,
About
well, that's cool. That's good. You got some pretty good places here in Texas. We don't have too many places. There's one outside of Houston in Lavaca County. It's maybe hour and a half drive, and that's a jail. But the people there are really good people. And then I've been to the Mineral Wells house, the Haunted Hill house in Mineral Wells, Texas, which is a 4-hour drive for me. But other than that, there's not like a lot of like haunted locations you can go to. Like I said, I did a whole haunted tour thing, and but we go like to different spots and kind of walk around the streets and talk about those areas and stuff. We've done a lot of actual places to go and investigate, like that. Even though Houston has some of the uh, very haunted hotspots, like the Rice Hotel here in downtown Houston. I don't know if you know anything about the Rice Hotel, but JFK was actually in that hotel the night before he was assassinated. He spent the night here, went to Dallas, and got assassinated. Uh, then there was the Houston Public Library downtown, which is one of the biggest libraries in the country. There's all kinds of stories about how haunted that place is, but they don't allow investigations there. There's an old hospital. It was Jeff Davis Hospital. Now it's like lofts, and it's real artsy kind of a place. They don't allow investigations there either. So, uh, and I wish those places would, but they just don't let people go in there. But Houston itself, it's an older city, so there's actually a lot of history here. Not a lot of Civil War battles actually took place here, but there was like a lot of casualties from that war that came here, and a lot of burial grounds around town. So there's some really really cool stuff. I went to this cemetery. I was looking for the cemetery. Some kids from my old job. I say kids because they're much younger than I am, and at the time I was still, my early 40s, and they were all like high school kids, 18, 19 years old, and they were like, "Hey Joe, we're gonna go look for this cemetery," because they knew I was into all this stuff. You want to go with us? I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you guys. It was after work. By the time we get out there, it's like 11 o'clock at night. And um, we're walking through the field, and they're like, yeah, the cemetery is supposed to be around here somewhere. And I'm just kind of following them along. I'm the old man of the group, right? And we get to this clearing. We walk through the clearing. We get to the woods again, and we find like a homeless camp. And it was definitely a place that was being used currently, even though there was nobody there. And I told them, you know what, we got to get out because if these people come home or come back to their place and we're there, we're gonna be in trouble. So let's get back to the cars. Let's get out of here. So we're walking back out, and we get to that clearing that we had just came from, and the fog is rolling in, which was really creepy in itself. And then we started finding the little headstones. We had just walked through there and didn't see any headstones.
wow.
It was crazy, and they were all Civil War era headstones. That was one of the craziest things that ever happened to me.
That
But
is
it was
crazy.
really creepy because, like I said, the fog started coming in. We're like, man, where's this fog rolling in from? It felt like we walked into another time or place or something.
That's awesome.
That was, that's like my coolest story I got. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. So, like, what do your kids think about all this too? I know your husband is supportive and goes with you. What do your kids think?
They think I'm a little crazy.
Okay. Do they believe in the paranormal, or they just think you're crazy for going out looking for this stuff?
They haven't really probably given it that much thought. I don't think that
Uh-huh.
they they're supportive. They just I don't think they've ever thought about it too much.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything there in South Dakota that you can go to? And
Not officially, because there's a lot of laws here and regulations that
okay.
they won't open up as like a location that people can go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I definitely get that too. Yeah. I don't know if that has anything to do with us not opening up, or just, but as much as people just don't want you to go. But like I said, there's plenty of stories around town about people seeing ghosts or what have you, or even like especially soldiers. You know, um, and then outside of Houston, there's the Santaceno battleground. That was it wasn't the Civil War; it was the Mexican Revolution, I guess. Or not the Mexican Revolution, the Texas, fighting against Mexico for their independence. That was right after the Battle of the Alamo. Santa Anna's army was marching, and Sam Houston went after them. Which is where we get the name Houston from here in Texas. After Sam Houston. Uh, yeah, it's an interesting state. Of course, San Antonio has its share of the same kind of stuff. A lot of especially around the Alamo, there are people that do report hearing cannon fire and gunfire in the middle of the night. It's got to be
yeah,
crazy. I would love to hear that. You Go to one of those old missions. There's actually several missions around San Antonio, but they don't allow you to go and investigate them. They're open. They're like gift shops and little, touristy places. But people report seeing stuff like that, apparitions, and so it's pretty cool. Texas is a pretty cool state as far as paranormal goes, but they just don't allow a lot of stuff. And the thing about Texas also is that we're like one of four states that you don't have to exhume graves to build over. You can just build wherever you want to build. So that probably has a lot to do with a lot of the haunted activity that goes on. And
yeah,
then I always tell people too that I think a lot of stuff that happens in the forest, when people say they hear footsteps or have stuff thrown at them or hear voices, and it's all attributed to Bigfoot. I'm saying I'm of the mind of thinking that a lot of that is probably more paranormal than what people think. But that's just my opinion. We've actually got some pretty good EVPs, or I don't know if people want to call them EVPs, but a friend of mine was out there. He was looking at a stick structure, and he had his recorder going because he was trying to pick up vocals, and he heard something right in his ear go, psst, just like that, and he got it on his recorder, which is pretty cool.
that's awesome. Those
Yeah,
things are
and
so cool when that happens.
yeah, yeah. I think stuff happens everywhere. And like way back in different times, Sam Houston used to be like the Sam Houston Forest was it had an iron ore camp there, like a mining camp. So you know, those men back there, I'm sure they protected their claims, and those were like men, and they only settled their differences one way. So there's no telling what happened out there.
Mhm.
Crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So what are you gonna do with like in the next few months?
Right now, I only have Beattie on my calendar because when it gets cold, it's cold, and a lot of the places aren't heated.
Uh,
Um, so I'll probably there's one place here that's heated. It's the Boyd House, and I heard it's very active. So I might
yeah.
go check that out during the winter because it's heated. But I'll probably start again in March going to the places that are not heated just because
Mhm.
it gets to like negatives even here, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it. That's one of the things that moving to Ohio, I wasn't looking forward to if I were to make that move.
It's
Yeah.
not fun.
Mhm.
Not fun.
So what do you think about like it seems like there's a lot of people or even groups that everything's demonic and everything is evil that they run across. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think everything's demonic. Like when I went to Malvern, for instance, there is a lot of playful energy there.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't mention this, but it was actually when it was a nursing home, there was also a lot of mentally ill people there.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that still there.
Hmm.
They don't the spirits don't like to engage unless they're familiar with you. So I
Hmm.
think that's why we didn't get too much activity when we were there because we were new to them. But like they weren't scared to come out when it was just my recorder there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When
Right.
I went the second time, I actually saw a full apparition. So that was awesome.
And what was that experience like?
Um, it was it was really cool. I went with my friend Becky and we did a day tour. And there's a spirit there. They call him Hank or Henry. Kind of depends on the mood that he's in because he's like they describe him as like a grumpy old man kind of spirit.
Hmm.
And he has clothes in his room and he doesn't like it when women put his clothes on. So obviously I wore his shirt around the house. um, but we didn't get anything from him while we were there. We tried in his room. We tried to, do like some EVP stuff in there, and we got nothing. But I really think that this apparition that I saw was Henry because it
Okay.
was like a nice looking older man. And then my friend was with me and she saw somebody like running at me. I think that was Hank. Like it was awesome because it was at the same time. Like we looked at each
Oh,
other and we were like, what was that?
right, right.
It was such a cool thing.
So what exactly did you see and what was going on?
When we walked out of there's a bathroom that's like it's like a woman's room and a men's room, like separated by a little door. And across the hallway from that is what is Hank's room. And then a little corridor leads out to the stairway to go downstairs. When I walked out of that bathroom, we were going to go into Hank's room. I saw over by the window like a man and he was wearing like a blue shirt and blue jeans. And I kind of like, did a double take because by the time you do the double take, it's gone, obviously. But that's what I saw. And she explained that she saw like a scary guy running at me, you know.
Hmm.
So he's mad that I wore his shirt, I guess.
Okay. So what happened with the guy running at you? Did he just like disappear or
Yeah.
okay?
I never saw that part myself,
Hmm.
but I just saw like a nice old man standing by a window.
And Sandra says hi, Joe and Ashley. How you doing, Sandra? Thanks for tuning in.
Hi.
She's one of the regulars. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think like demonic and evil kind of gets distorted because even if there's an entity or ghost or spirit, whatever people want to call it, even if it's trying to get your attention, or it may just be, even if it's angry, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Um, like I was saying, in the house that I was at, we were all touched or poked at one time or another. Um, and I never got the feeling that we were being attacked. Neither did my kids for that matter. And that was the main thing I was worried about, is what they thought. And like I said, we definitely got scared a few times, but it was us being scared. That make you know what I'm saying? We were scared. It wasn't trying to scare us. Like I woke up one morning, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I saw a lady, just her black out silhouette. She was wearing a dress, and she was standing next to my bed. And man, I got scared. I threw a kick at her, and she disappeared.
Yeah.
But she wasn't trying to scare me. I got scared.
Right.
I think if she was trying to scare me, she would have came at me with her teeth and fangs and long nails. But that's just, she didn't do that.
Right.
She was probably looking at me like, "What are you doing in my bed? Get out of my bed." Yeah. And so it was always stuff like that. And uh, like I was telling you, we saw shadow figures, and my oldest, she saw a figure go from one corner of her room to the other corner of her room, and she came out and told me. She was shaken up, but she wasn't like frightened because we talked about it for a while, and she went back in the room, went back to and we went back to bed. So,
Hmm.
yeah. I think sometimes the word evil and demonic gets thrown around too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there is sometimes anger, and you can feel that. Like at the Axe Murder House, there was a very violent crime there, and there is anger there. Like you can walk in sometimes and just feel it, but I don't
Mm,
think there's anything demonic there personally. I know there's a lot of people that think that's why that happened, why the crime happened at all, but
right.
I don't feel that there myself when I walk in.
Mhm. Do you have any kind of abilities or gifts?
I I feel things. I would say I'm an empath.
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
feel the
Uh,
energy when I walk into a place.
okay. Yeah. I don't know if you want to call it a gift or not, but I can smell stuff. And there's been a few times where I'll smell something, and somebody's telling me the history of a place, and they'll tell me, yeah, this person used to wear this perfume or used to smoke this kind of pipe or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm smelling it right now. So, you know,
That's awesome.
I get, yeah, I get that. So, speaking of that, so like the other day, this was like last week. Um, my dad passed away in 2012, and he used to love juicy fruit. The gum juicy fruit.
Yeah.
That's what he used to chew all the time. And I came home like last week, and my living room smelled like juicy fruit. And I think that was him coming around, just since he used to be around all the time. And I know it sounds crazy, but for like 2 years he was always around me. I was kind of going through a rough patch, and he was always. I just knew he was here, and I'm not sure if me and my son were talking about it within the week also about my dad and how I knew he was always around, or for those 2 years I knew he was always around, right? And I was telling him, I was like, yeah, you know what? But he hasn't come around in a while. So I know that I'm doing good just because he's not around, kind of watching out for me. And then that's when I came home and found the juicy food. I guess he was letting me know, hey, I still come around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Does you or your family have any other stories similar to that, or seeing loved ones, or
Well, there's a couple of things like we used to live at this house. I don't know, it was 2 houses ago, I think. It was a rental, but when we lived there, my kids had stayed in this room, like alternatively, like we had moved them a few times from this room to that room. But all of my kids saw this random hand coming out of their closet. And I was like, okay, they're just being kids, okay. But then my sister-in-law came to stay with us, and she was like, what is with that hand coming out of the closet? Like,
oh wow,
all right, you know. So that was
all
pretty
right,
cool.
huh? Do you know anything of where that hand came from?
I never found out. I never really put a lot of research into that house, but I just thought it was the coolest thing.
Hmm. Now, when they said coming out, did they ever describe what it was doing coming out? Or
No, I mean, I'm sure they did, but it was a long time ago.
okay, huh. All right. I didn't know it was like the hand from uh,
I think
from
it
when
was
they,
just more like coming out like of the closet, like
right,
grabbing,
huh?
but just the
Yeah,
cool thing.
that's yeah. I guess as long as it didn't grab me, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, have you ever been touched or poked or tapped on or anything?
Yeah, when we were at Beattie Mansion, I was doing the Estes method, and I was sitting cross-legged on the floor. I had the headphones on. I had actually Ghost Tube Seer. Have you heard of it?
Right. Yeah, I have.
I had it on like the lens in my face, and I was sitting there cross-legged, and something came to my knee, and just doing this on my knee.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of children spirits there. So I just felt like
Right.
it was one of the children just kind of playing with my knee, like trying to get my attention.
Right. Hmm. And did you move or freak out, or you just let it? let it happen.
I just let it happen, and it happened like pretty continuously for like a couple of minutes while I was continuing to try and listen for something coming through, you know.
Mm, right. Have you ever had any good results from that from the SS method?
There have been some that were pretty accurate from there. Like there was a couple of things that came through in the house at Villisca. We had
Mhm.
asked the spirit if it was where it came from and stuff, and it said that it was hiding nearby and stuff like that. Like that was pretty cool of a thing.
Hmm, okay. I've never personally tried that. I've seen TikToks of everybody trying it. Some of them have some pretty crazy uh, results, and I'm talking about positive results. It's been pretty crazy, some of them. So I've never tried it. I don't know if I ever will. But if I get the chance, I think I would want to. And one of the crazy thing that happened also in that other house was the night that my daughter saw that shadow go from one corner to the other corner in her room. Um, I had just gotten into the Bigfoot thing, and I had my digital recorders that I would leave out into the forest. I told my son, my middle son, I said, "Hey, go to the closet, get my recorder. We're gonna do an EVP session, right?" She's like, "Okay, okay." So me and my daughter, my youngest son, were talking in the living room, and we're just kind of in the corner, and I see my son coming out from my daughter's room, and he's like white as a ghost. He's got the recorder in his hand like this, holding it up, walking towards me. He goes, Dad, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. And I'm like, what? He's like, listen, listen. So he plays it, and you hear him ask, is there anybody here with us? And you hear a voice go, yeah, just like that. Yeah, that freaked us out too. We're like, holy cow. And like I said, my daughter went right back into that room and fell asleep, like nothing. But yeah, it was a pretty cool place to be. I still have that EVP too. I'll send it to you after the show.
That's awesome. We had one actually at Malvern that was a direct response like that. I had asked. There's a supposedly a spirit there named Susie who had the mindset of a child, you know. And I asked
Mhm.
if pink was still her favorite color, and it says yes right
Hmm, that's cool. You haven't had any spirits cuss at you?
after. Not through an EVP, but through GhostTube. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always think it's funny when I hear people, with the EVPs or what the ghost tube, and they get cussed out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had people tell me that they've gotten pretty vulgar stuff, that yeah, which I think is funny. And like I said, I don't consider that necessarily evil or demonic. They're just mad or angry, or you know, and that's just the way it is, I guess. Um, do you have any opinions of why spirits hang around?
You know, I know there's a lot of differing in like input here, but I feel like people are, spirits are energy. So
Mhm.
they will be where they want to be when they want to be there.
Right, right,
So that's kind of how I feel about it. They're not
yeah,
stuck. They are choosing this.
right, right. Yeah, I kind of think the same thing. I kind of think that if they're ready to go, they'll go. Um, for whatever reason, they're still here hanging around.
Right.
Who knows? 'Cause like I said, I think my dad was here when I needed him the most, and uh, he was just kind of seeing me through that rough patch. And like I said, I 100% believe he was here last week, and just to let me know, hey, I heard your conversation, and I'll still come around every now and then.
Yeah.
Um, I've told this story before on the show, but I'm gonna tell you. Uh, Last year in 2022, my mom had a birthday party. She turned 72. And we had a I won't say a big party, but it was, she had us three kids, and then we have our kids and grandkids, and my dad's twin brother was there, and his wife, my aunt. They've been married, man, forever. They just had an anniversary, and it was close to 50 years, I want to say, um, give or take a couple years. And so they were there. My mom's sister was there, so it was, it's a three-bedroom house, but it's still kind of packed. Then you add the mariachi band that came. That was on a Sunday. On that Monday, my brother, my uncle, my aunt, and my niece they were all going to go to the cemetery. And I don't go to the cemetery not because it's like, oh, I don't want to go, I can't go. It's just because I don't believe he's there. He can be wherever he wants to be. So and I know that for a fact. So I don't need to go to his grave. I'm not gonna just talk to him right now and he'll listen. But so they went to the cemetery. Well, they were going to go to the cemetery, but it rained really bad that morning, and it was that next Tuesday. Well, that following day, the Tuesday, I called my brothers. I was like, "Hey, did you guys wind up going to the cemetery?" He's like, "No, it was raining too bad on that Monday, and it gets really muddy in that part where where Dad's buried." I was like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "But so we're just going to reschedule it." I said, "Okay, that's cool." And he's like, "But," he goes, "I want to tell you something that happened at the party." He said, "At the party, Madison, she had just turned 15. She's my niece, my youngest niece, and he said she came up to me at the party and was telling me, 'Hey, I keep hearing Grandpa's voice,' and he's saying that he's glad that Grandma's had the party, that he's happy for her, and that he was proud of us for throwing the party for her." I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "But that's not the weird thing." He said, "When I called Uncle James, which is my dad's twin brother," he said, "I called Uncle James that Monday to tell him we weren't going to the cemetery because it was going to be too muddy." He's like, "Hey, your aunt heard your dad's voice at the party, and that she heard that she was glad she's had the party, that she deserved it, and that when her time comes, that he'll be there waiting for her." And my aunt and my niece, neither one of them knew that they had heard my dad's voice, which is
Wow,
basically the same message, other than he'll be there for her when her time comes. So I thought that was pretty cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And like my uncle, he's long time ago. My grandmother passed away in the late '80s, maybe mid '80s. Uh, he was feeling really depressed about that when that happened, and uh, he told my aunt, "Hey, I'm gonna go to bed." It was real early. She said the sun was still out. It was like early evening. And he went to the bed and went to sleep, and she went in there, stuck her head in her bedroom to kind of check on him to see how he was doing. And she said that when she got to the bedroom door, she saw my grandmother leaning over my uncle and gave him a kiss. You know, and she said like 2, 3 days later, my uncle James, he was in a really good mood and he was happy and stuff. And um, he told my aunt, he goes, that night that I was feeling really bad, he said I had a dream that my mom came and she kissed me while I was laying down. And my aunt told my uncle, no, 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 you weren't dreaming. That really happened. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool story.
That is cool.
What do you think about stuff like that when you hear?
Well, that stuff is so awesome. I had brain surgery like, man, it's probably like 9 years ago now, and my aunt randomly told my mom that she had talked to a medium, and the medium said that my dad was there during the surgery, and
Hmm.
she hadn't brought me up at all.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
wow, that is crazy. Yeah,
so weird.
yeah, yeah. I had a medium talking to me about the old house that I used to live in, and he told me we were just talking. I was telling him about all the activity that was going on there in the house. He's like, yeah. He says, "Do you hear the work boots going across the wooden floor? The wood floor." I'm like, "Yeah, 'cause we had a wood floor in the living room, but he didn't know that." He's like, "Yeah." He said, "That's your dad." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That's your dad coming around." I'm like, "Hold on, wait a second. I didn't tell you my dad had passed away." you know, yeah, yeah. I did believe my dad had work boots. So that would explain the sound of somebody walking around with work boots on, because the Colemans didn't do that kind of stuff. They were tiny, tiny elderly people. And they were both. I think they were both teachers. So they wouldn't have work boots on. Um, there was another story that I was going to tell you. I forgot it. But yeah, yeah. I believe that our loved ones come around. And oh, my son's friend, she was really sick in the hospital, and she was actually wound up in ICU. I don't want to tell you what she had, but or tell the people what she had. That's her business. But she has a disease, and she's always in and out of the hospital. But she was in ICU for like 3 or 4 days, and she they thought they were going to lose her, and they didn't. She wound up making it. She's still doing really really good to this day. Um, but she said when she came to, and she was coming out of it, and she was talking to her mom. Her mom was talking to her, and she's like, "Hey, who was that man that was sitting in the corner?" And she's like, "Who? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, there was a man in the corner." She goes, "No, there wasn't nobody here." She goes, "No, he was sitting there, and he was, kept watching me, kept looking at me." The mom's like, "No, there's nobody there." She goes, "Yeah, he had a burn mark, like a scar on his face." And her mom was like, "What the hell?" Because her brother had passed away, which uh, my son's friend had never met her uncle, but he had burned himself when he was a kid on his face, and he had a scar his whole life. And she never knew who her uncle was, or even saw a picture of him. And she was like, "Yeah, there was a guy sitting over there with a scar on his face, watching me." Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So when I hear stuff like that, it gives me hope that, or not necessarily hope, but it lets me know that there is something more, you know, beyond this life.
Yeah. Those things are almost like undeniable. Like you can try to say it's not what it is, but there's really, it has to be, you know?
Yeah, too many people experience this kind of stuff uh, to not take it serious, and I think anyone that's not going to take it serious just doesn't want to take it serious. And
Right.
yeah, and you certainly can look at stories on YouTube or anywhere of people who have, you know, had near-death experiences and come back and tell you, some crazy stories, and they're all kind of similar, even though they might be different to an extreme. They're all kind of similar on some aspects. Uh, Yeah, my one of my good friends. He actually died twice at two different times in his life. When he was like a young kid, and then again in his early 20s. And yeah, he's got some crazy stories to tell too. So it's pretty interesting. So what is it you're hoping to do in this field? What do you want to accomplish, or what do you think you're looking for?
You know, I just have like an unquenchable thirst for knowledge in this situation, but I'm also trying to write about these places that I'm going to. I've already started writing some stuff about Malvern and Villisca. I really feel like I have such a deep curiosity about all these things,
Mhm.
and I don't think that I will ever have enough knowledge on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. So you say you're writing about it? Is this something just for you, or do you want to publish something?
Eventually, I'd like to publish it.
Okay. Yeah. 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 That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So when you're writing, are you journaling, or are you like note taking?
When I've been writing, it's just like a deep telling of all the things that we did there and all the
Mhm.
things we've experienced while we were there. Like, I try to put all the emotion I felt into it, so
Right.
that people can read it and understand what it's like when you go into that building.
Right. Uh, yeah. I've been trying to write this book for the last year or so. It's a fiction thing. I don't know when I'll ever finish it, but yeah, that's. I hope that maybe I'll get on it again, because I kind of go through. Uh, uh, I get in different kind of moods where I want to write, and sometimes I don't want to mess with it. So I'm not a writer. I'm not creative like that, but I do want to do this little project. Be able to say I did something, did something worthwhile in my life at least once. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah, cool, man. Well, cool. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, or if you want to give out your information, your contact information? That's you don't have to, but if people are interested. And
Well, I'm on TikTok and I'm on Facebook at Ghostgirl Adventures. You can find me on either platform. I'm also on Instagram, but I don't post there as much as I do on TikTok and Facebook.
okay, cool, cool. Yeah. Do you ever do like private investigations, or
I haven't, but I am, more than open to the idea. I would love to do that.
okay.
Um, my husband works at a prison and his prison is haunted that he works at. I would
Oh,
love to
really?
go there and investigate it. Right now, they won't let me. I'm trying to
Uh,
get in there, but
is it like an active, like prisoners are actually there, or is it something that's?
yep,
Oh,
it's
yeah, yeah,
an active prison. So it's, obviously would be hard to get
yeah.
into.
Right,
Would love.
yeah. Well, it's not hard to get into if you're a criminal, but yeah.
Maybe I'll just have to, think
Yeah,
a little.
and there you go. Yeah, turn to a life of crime for a little bit and just do your investigation, and that's it. Yeah. Well, cool beans, man. It was great having you on. If there's ever anything you want me to share or uh, promote for you, feel free to hit me up and or tag me in it, whatever. I'll be happy to share it for you. And yeah. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I started one, but I haven't put a lot of stuff on there just yet. I've been more putting my stuff on TikTok. So all
Okay,
of that, the cat ball activity and stuff I talked about, that's all on there.
okay. And it's Ghost Girl Adventures.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so if anybody wants to check her out, check her out. And well, it was cool having you on. It was great talking to you. You were a very, very cool person, and you did a great job in talking. So, you know, that was
Thank you. And I
yeah,
appreciate you having me.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, if anything I could ever do for you, just hit me up and let me know, and I'll be happy to share anything for you.
Well, thank you.
And with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Sandra, for tuning in again. You're always a great I don't know what you call it. You're not a guest, but you're always cool. You always got some cool comments, so I appreciate that. And with that being said, you guys have a great night. And hold on real quick, Ashley, don't hang up yet. We'll
Okay.
talk to you guys next Monday.